So stupid. And look, I love it. So choke.
You know, the last time, last month, okay, and other people. Yeah, no, it's just from that school grade, going 11 a.m. It's crazy.
Oh, it's.
That's how I learned that.
You don't have to all the time. There are direct flights.
But if you stop on one, you have to get off.
Yeah,
right?
we're doing that on the way home.
I think so. Hi, I'm Seth.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
You can also use this one right here. Like this.
Yeah, because like you're not in camera view if you're over here. See.
have to
Oh, I wanna go where there's no camera.
Yeah.
When the- Okay.
Sorry, right on over.
Yes, I can. You can't go, you sorry. First,
Chair over there.
in the middle.
There's a chair here.
Property.
There's one more down there, Don.
Don, right here.
Maybe move it a bit.
You can stay for
Slightly move.
Yeah, I mean, you can go on the side.
Where's the ladies room?
Right.
Maybe on the front table.
Yeah, nothing but demands.
I'm going with Mary here. Hi, Mary. I don't know that side, so we're gonna use.
Yeah, if you can get in there, that would be nice.
Ladies room is going down.
I'm going to the bathroom.
Okay.
Figure out my seat.
You know where?
Yeah.
It's like it was the.
I don't know. All of you people asking for.
Yeah, maybe you can sit across. Yeah,
Okay. Everybody have a seat.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
you there.
okay.
Here.
I don't need to be on camera. I can go.
Yeah.
Jody, no, it's me.
Chair.
Okay, here's another chair.
So you can bring it.
Okay.
Bringing that
But
chair.
here, there's that chair, that chair for comfortable. Okay. So we'll wait till they get back.
Oh, no, not GC. What was it? GC, everybody got a chair? You know, great. It's in.
Mary Alice, you have a chair.
It's in.
You want to sit this chair? Here, I'll sit there.
Oh, I thought right here. Business. Oh, it's supposed to be. Oh. Yeah, he's back.
Oh. Yeah, you should be.
One right here.
Michelle? Invite you.
Don.
Friendly. We
The
won't
gentle
bite.
giant.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
If you can get in. That's on, so we can get you in camera.
I'm not a member.
Oh, you're not a member. Okay.
Sorry to be ex officio.
Okay. Okay, there's an extra chair over
No,
there.
she's not camera, it's here.
Okay.
Come on, camera.
It's maybe Dawn.
Who's here?
Sorry, Rachel.
We got space here.
Okay, guys. Yeah, Dawn, is that Dawn?
Joy. See that.
Okay, go ahead and just grab a seat. Yeah, Dawn and I.
Dawn and Mary.
Wait till they get back.
Mary's over there. I don't know.
Mary's
over there.
Things about you would like to be virtual.
Then he's gonna come sit with me in front of it. I'm going to.
They saw that commitment.
I promise.
Yeah. Talking about getting better.
Thank you, Dawn. My attorney's with me.
Come and eat.
Change over after the.
Thank you. You know, let's be over here.
Don't be around.
Okay, I'll go that way. Okay. Alright, yeah, that way we'll get everybody around the table. Hi. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Fell on the ground.
Trees.
So what do you for now? Please. Myself. Right. Are we ready, let's?
We're resuming.
Yeah, we're on record.
Oh.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday, October 4th. It is 3 p.m. We're gonna have a meeting of the state environmental advisory council. We do have a forum. So I'll start off with roll call, then we'll end it. Bill and Chair.
Robin K.
Call one from Kuwait.
Michelle Lefebvre from Hawaii.
Don Hager from Maui.
Like to life.
Deputy Attorney General. Mary Alice Evans, Director of General.
Lisa Grundle, staff with OPSE.
A very good looking shirt.
Thank you.
Name Sheriff, Hawaii Island.
Hello, everyone. Steph and Marco. No, we didn't have to.
You don't have to.
Yeah,
Ellen.
It's not me.
Yeah, you really
Okay,
do.
well,
Wrong one.
Okay. Rachel Sprague.
Hey, thank you, everybody. So again, we do have a forum. Thank you folks for taking the time to fly in and make the arrangements. I know there's probably some things to still work out, but it's nice to see everybody's face in person. Okay, so Mary Alice, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you for the PSC director.
Okay, actually, we don't have a report to this meeting, but I'm here to answer any questions that come up.
Do you mind speaking a little bit on the House Resolution 82 Task Force?
I'd be delighted to. The task force that was requested by the state legislature, the House side, has met twice, once in August, once in September. We have a third meeting coming up in October. The first meeting was to become familiar with the requests in the resolution and to start the process of figuring out what might be helpful in terms of changes to the council's website and the environmental review program's website. So they're basically two different halves of the same program. A lot of ideas were generated, especially in the second meeting in September. In the October meeting, we'll go over the notes from both of those meetings, hopefully in the form of a draft report. If the task force, this is not a sunshine group, it's not created by statute. So it's, but it, so it's not a situation where there's going to be a formal vote and a formal recommendation to the EAC unless the members want to do that. But there will be time between now and the next legislative session for the EAC to look at that report and to add any additional thoughts they may want to add to it. And then it'll go to the legislature with a request for funding. And then we'll see what happens. Robin.
It's on that list.
Let's see, it's a voluntary group, but we were directed to include the Sierra Club. Wayne Tanaka came to our first meeting, but he wasn't able to come to our second meeting. And the first meeting, we also had Representative Nicole Owen, who is the chair of the committee that proposed the resolution, and members from the EAC, as time available and their interests indicated. And can anybody else remember any other?
Okay, so myself, on that.
And then we had help from staff too. OPST, except for Les and Tom.
Yeah, and Jen taking notes.
And thank you for your leadership. Thank you. It was very smooth, very informative, really well focused.
think that's due to the staff.
Any other questions? Thank you for that report, Mary Alice. And Les, my apologies at the beginning. Are there any members of the public on Zoom?
Nobody's on Zoom, just,
If there are, just go ahead and let me.
yeah,
know.
I'll let you know.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so any other questions from Mary Alice? All right, thank you. Mary, I'll go ahead and.
Actually, I'm sorry. Is this, if the result of this effort is to change this, will they, is the idea to contract, says seeking contract with an outsider, or does the state have a component that does websites for clients?
We will be asking for funding from the legislature. The state does not have a software or website improvement group. Sometimes state employees are able to, work on the websites for their programs, but that tends to be a useful but not required skill set. And the Office of Planning has some fabulous people, but none of them have as their job description, website management. So I think we would be looking for an outside consultant.
Any other questions on that topic? Okay, Mary, I will hand over to you, but I know you can have a meeting, but at the last meeting, there was some discussion on this.
We're still working on the invitations to the various people for our forum. And the elevator speeches, two of them were attached with the items circulated. Maka'ala had sent a third one that didn't make the circulation. So that was sent to us with a separate email today. But I don't believe we can just consider it since it didn't get out on the world. So I would just ask that you please review the elevator speeches that were sent to you. They take a little bit different tact. And we'll get that resent with Maka'ala's as a part of it. And then I'll include, mine went out a while back, but so we'll just include them all together. We're coming at it from, it's almost like I'm looking at like a Christmas star of these various prongs of approaches. And honestly, I think maybe they're all reasonable to capture in some way, because oftentimes when you meet somebody that says, well, what's that? The response needs to be different. So I think it'd be good to have this, it's like a small library of responses. But I think, personally, I think it might be healthy for the council. Maybe we should have it be happening in strategic planning. That if we're gonna, maybe we have one of them codified is too strong of a word, but become our tagline or our mantra.
We talked about that.
Okay.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Aaron, what do you think about, can I ask you? How would you feel about when you send it back out with a struck hole for ranking?
Sure.
Because I think since there are so many different ones, it might be really interesting, not that that's a vote, but at least for us to respond, say the top two or something.
Would we be allowed to send that out in a doodle? That would give people more opportunity to express their thoughts on it.
And what, I'm sorry.
A doodle or survey monkey or something. I don't know, we don't want to, I don't, that's actually a Jody question.
Yeah.
Oh, Jody.
No, I mean, well, the sunshine thing, you're not supposed to extend the discussion, but I mean, if it's just a vote, then.
It's not for discussions, but it's to capture the why of it.
Maybe instead of pick two, maybe rank them in
Yeah.
order that most applies to you to least applies to you, then how many got one, somebody got two.
Right,
somebody got three.
that's.
Yeah,
is to have
okay.
it so that it's a ranking.
I just would like to make note here where this is a circumstance where social media would be appropriate to further our work, but the Sunshine Law prohibits it. And so I want that to be on record. And I think the legislature is trying to grow on how they apply Sunshine Law, and y'all are trying, the fact that we even have Zoom in the room is a huge step. And so, I'm not making that point to be sassy, I think it's good for us to know when opportunities can't be taken advantage of. And we find another very good way to work around it, but not as efficient, so, as social media or today's technology might allow. Thank you.
So for the next round, I mean, everybody, if you didn't already get a chance, take a look at the document that was attached. These are not final reviews, I assume I know it's going to take,
Oh, absolutely.
edits and.
And 100 more.
suggestions, yeah. So a couple folks have already submitted, suggestions and I'll follow your report, these words then in the next agenda for everybody to take a look again. If anybody have comments or edits that they want to add to what's in front of them so far. Please take the time to do that. Okay, for sure. There's slides to check. Okay, so for November though, if you folks do have edits, please feel free. What I can do is also circulate a Word document to us. Send it out to everybody. Maybe easy to see the changes out with folks. So, yeah.
And the ability to make.
Yeah. Okay. Well, do we want to wait to do rankings? We get a final. Well, but it's just, do you guys want to edit these first and then I'll kind of narrow it down from that before like. I mean, does everybody kind of consider these pretty complete and ready?
I think we might, if we surface one that was tailored, then you might get somebody who just edit that one.
Yeah. Because they're conceptually, they're individual, they're quite different approaches, et cetera, content, so.
And
I
that's,
should choose the one that takes the approach that you most want, or feel comfortable with taking in an elevator or something. And then yes, and they all need, some time.
well, and ranking of the way you're talking about may make sense. So that I'm going to be.
Yeah, right, it was just funded.
Right. So nobody.
No. I just want to thank Mary, good job.
Welcome. Appreciate participation.
We're gonna do the.
We're doing the next one in January. So that's good.
One.
It's the one on, yeah, it's okay, we're gone. I didn't make that initial announcement. We're gonna do the, it's gonna be a forum on how the EA and EIS process works for dummies. Actually, right? Yeah. And then, because we don't feel that the people that, and I'm saying dummies in this context of, all the books written. Not anybody's unintelligent.
Intro level.
Yeah.
I know that this makes sense, given that recommendation to us came from Nicole. I might want to include the conversation, whether as a speaker or at least.
No, she can't be a speaker. She will be in the audience.
Do you have a date yet or?
It depends on who's available when. That's what, before lunch. Yeah, before lunch starts, so we'll, I'm sorry, I don't seem to have my file, it must be on my desk. I did pick a date, do you remember? It's in our minutes, it's in some minutes, we recorded a couple months ago.
January,
Something like 4th or 11th, is like Thursday.
I can't.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
You guys, you can get on the guest.
I'm getting on my guest is still too slow.
Did you get on the guest?
It's just important. Here. Have goals set up.
There's Fenway, Fenway's over, so there's so you guys are. I don't know, it just, you didn't do a Wednesday, unfortunately, 11th or Wednesdays. Oh, I think maybe just the first Thursday, right?
Mary Alice, when is the legislature? Is the legislature open this?
On the 19th.
No, Wednesday, the 19th. Yeah, it's early this year.
But I think they're still trying to find parents too.
I sent invitation. Yes, I enjoy. I already got here.
Well, that's why I'm asking about the date. I may not be
I'd
back.
like to know, yeah.
So-
Oh, okay, what's your bid on? Which side?
I wonder, can I ask? I wonder if it would be at all appropriate, or would it muddy the waters to include a little summary of kiting? Not discussion.
No, I think it's a separate, completely separate.
It is separate.
Yeah, and we'd be taken away from the EIS.
Okay,
Um,
it's out in the public.
yeah, there was some great stuff that it's.
Yeah, so the community knows about it, and starting to use it, so. I just wanted, even to just make the statement of how they
Can you
differentiate.
clarify what you're talking about, please?
It's a ruling that you have to include the cultural practices, and it's different than the cultural practices. And it's because of the plaintiff, it's called kapakatai, which means salt, but that's what it's called. And it's now a formal process of consultation practices. Yes.
Like section 106, where you identify cultural practice effects of a project or development on those cultural practices, and then resolution or mitigation.
But it's critically applies to discretionary.
And it's an age, so it's not.
I don't know.
No, so it's something agency. Traditional certain practices, so it's actually something that the agency has to do, but you as an applicant, right, even if it's an agency action, you have to give them an application to be able to do that. So there's three prongs the agency must satisfy when they grant a permit. So it is used as a consultation. Again, who needs to do it? It's the agency. So nuances, but
no.
yes, yes.
But the community is experiencing with it, is they're now getting calls asking, do you know anything about this park? Do you know anything about this? That never happened before. And so the community in which I exist, it's common everyday conversation now about,
So
Yeah.
for instance, if there's a budget. Then the county is information, and so the county's figuring out responsibility by the state regulatory agency. And they get a little bit more like to a project. Start talking about it, yeah. So my fear with that.
That may be
including
just a whole separate form.
That's right, that's right, and that, I just wanted to, I'm glad this is exactly what I wanted to have said, because the confusion in the community is. What's the difference when the consultant called me for cultural impact assessment, the CIA, the applicant, and this, and Kapakai, and it's what they're thrilled to have 3 bites of the apple, but they're not sure what to do with all those 3 bites.
And it's not necessarily a separate way, it could be done through
The same process. Well, that's the other reason to.
But yeah, I think that way.
No, it's
That
an
would
extensive
probably be
conversation.
a separate, yeah, separate thing. And I think certainly, yeah.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Having
And
it from the heavier 1 million lots.
These conversations are also happening in.
yes,
Married to one of those, and they were just the Hudson Society Hawaiian Archaeology Conference.
it's important, and we don't want to just pretend it doesn't exist.
Right, well, it's how to figure out.
That's right.
So maybe a separate.
Separate form is fine.
You gotta watch it happen, all right? You know, you know the old TV commercial about Mikey will try it?
Uh-huh.
I kind of feel like, I know we'll do it. That's good.
Well, you know what we're gonna say next.
What is that? Thank you very much for job security. That concludes my report.
Thanks. Yeah. All right, any other questions for INL? Discussion, okay, Steph already. Yep, we had an annual report committee meeting, first time in many months, and it was great to be able to do it in person. Welcome, Michelle. Thank you. So we had forum, which we desperately needed, and had a really great discussion on this year's. We are at time. And it somewhat, front-loaded deadlines now being on December 1st as opposed to January 31st, which is how this committee wanted to do that. During months time. The committee felt good and supportive of really pairing with last year's annual. And for those of you who the review of last year's annual report, check out it really was a quick, concise, couple paragraph summary of highlights that this council accomplished last year. It also did a great job of very briefly, albeit very clearly, sharing a bit of the transition that this group has been under and coming from ONQC and Big House and EAC, etc. We as a committee felt that the reiteration of that transition and change could continue to be valuable in 2022, as well as a summarized highlight of what opportunity to share about our strategic planning process and no details, but just that strategic planning is happening. And that our goal, the meetings that I don't know that provide things. Then you will really take a bite on what's good. And this renews. Given that we're no longer operating with considerable staff capacity, which is how those annual reports were largely accomplished in years past. So in a nutshell, that's what the 2022 annual report is. I think we will just make OPSC's deadline of December 1st. That is for that to be drafted and reviewed at our next committee meeting, and a conclusion that is the full council. So that's all going to go down. That should be available, barring major comments. What we'd really love to do right now, well, we got you all, and we're not going to do this. Maybe extend this process to all of you in chairs. If you could super quickly off the top, don't worry about wordsmithing it. Give us right now a couple bullets on major accomplishments that your committee has achieved this year. And Michelle is going to write them down, and that's going to be part of the annual report.
Steph, before you get that, it may be helpful if we had our nominator during the strategic planning forum. It began with having given 7 bullet points. Our successes of the last years. So that might be a
Excellent.
helpful shorthand.
Yeah. Could you share that with me or?
Yes.
Sure, I mean, it's in the report that was sent out, but yes. It's,
Oh, it's in the strategic planning, the paid report that got sent out.
it was the forum that we, remember we all had this forum, I'll just send you.
Thank you. Thinking I did.
Yeah, I mean, let me read them real quickly.
Okay,
This was, it's 5 years, not just one,
great.
but I can. Yes,
It's the April 5th.
Right, let's, should have this on. Because it was part of the agenda. But number one was revising the rules governing HRS 343. First time in over 20 years. Two was working with agencies to update their exemption lists pursuant to HR. Three, hearing the first appeal in the EAC list. We're working with the legislature to change the appeals process, requirements for the annual report, the definition of harm. That was a significant accomplishment of the whole EAC, but it was the legislative. Leadership. Two planning surveys led to a strategic planning forum and restructuring OEQC to OPSD, and then information and outreach committees forums on various issues.
Great.
Yeah.
Are there any committee chairs that would add to that? Specifically things from this past year that.
You don't go
Yeah.
sections. I'd like to provide a list of the agencies that give their exemption. So it's good that other agencies do that. Hopefully some agencies do this. And see that other agencies do it. And then I want to talk about we've been refining the exemption process and looking forward to new policy, rule, and potentially statutory changes to optimize the exemption process for the agencies and maybe I mean, that's just caption and then give a paragraph.
Thank you.
Chair, to me, that also speaks to the other part of the purpose of the annual report, which is how are the different departments and agencies doing? That's kind of a report card on them in a way as well, which I like including in not just a report on what the EAC has done, but how are you guys doing? Well, you guys have done well, you guys not so much.
Right, and that's typically something that your report has done at least to an extent in this past. So I do think that is the area for the strategic planning committee to dive into and really look at what's going to be meaningful for our annual reports moving forward. Granted, we always have to operate with the statutes and what's mandated. But as we found, that's so even our also right now, this is such a great opportunity. Yes. Anything from you? No. Nope, that was good. Okay.
You guys not here for rules, but I couple of updates on, specifically one of the things that we did this year was explore the process of repealing our procedural goals. In that process, it's also decided that we'll any repeal HR 11-01 our procedural goals, largely because a lot of what was in there had to do with case hearings, councils, certain things that rulemaking that's talked about, which we don't have the ability ourselves to do. Instead, we are publishing policies and procedures for the councils. So that was kind of the really big thing.
That's very helpful as well. And I think that really ties into, again, the transition from you know,
Bench was those three
Yeah.
changes that were significant.
everyone.
Is there a space limit? As Mary Alice said, 8 words.
Mary Alice is standing over us. Like,
The state, when she beats.
yeah, her word counter, for sure. No, that's a great question, and it's actually one that the committee had. There are some guidelines that we followed last year, and one of those guidelines was that it's pretty concise. I think it was 1 to 2 paragraphs. So I would love clarification on, you know, basic things like length and.
We're not going to set hard and fast limits on what the council wants to put in their annual report section. It's entirely up to the council, you know, what you want to include. So if you come up with a longer section, we'll accommodate it.
Great,
Um,
Mary Alice.
Mary, do you have any photographs of any of the forums that you held?
Well, that would be good.
That would be good.
It'd be great to have some
Pictures
visuals.
really
We
help.
did take screenshot pictures. I don't know what we did with them, I'll have to look.
We'll have to look. at the ones.
Yeah.
The one reporting that was great reporting was which one? Is that watershed one?
So how reporting's gone.
That's gone. I know, it's really sad, but we have others. I don't know, the link was just there.
If, I don't want to take up all the time, but I think it would be helpful to have some images, and rather than just having pictures of us, if you guys did something with the public.
Yeah.
Should.
Because
Actually, not this. We should tell us this about the high forms.
Yes, and
he had that in his
he had it
file.
in his, so provided you don't want.
But
to
I
mess that up.
understand.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. I just. And then we crafted policies on how to go forward, you know, doing that. We took what had been an in-person forum format and made it, you know, and adapted it for social media. And that's just our step in trying to. I mean, most people that work with me would just think it's hysterical to have some sort of social media cheerleader, because I'm not usually, here I am. And so that's a good choice.
Real quick, the forums that have happened, watersheds. What else?
Climate change.
Civil rights?
Sea level rise, yeah.
Civil rights.
Secrets. I spoke at secrets.
Seabirds?
That
was a little bit.
And my husband John spoke in the watershed for a living.
And the upcoming one is on. EAC and EIS.
CIS. Right, it's hot, right.
So images would be useful to you. Mary Alice.
Yes.
Images
Oh,
would be useful.
absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Anything to make it less text on text.
Can I tap someone in INR who might have that?
I think I just took them on my phone.
Yeah, but I could contact, there's some PowerPoint slides. Have PowerPoints, from different people, so I can ask them.
What I would suggest is, you know, certainly have those, but what I would suggest is a slide, a couple of pictures of participation, a verb.
Yeah.
Right. This is not a bad shot.
That's an incredible camera. It's a really good camera.
Well, can we take a picture today and then barring us not being able to find something? We're on, we at least have human.
And we're-
The new council.
Yeah, well, let's do a photo of this.
This is selling it. Buttons over there, Madeline.
I guess if those pictures turn out, we need them
Yeah,
like in the next week or two.
right.
Just because to turn this around by the next.
Yeah, we're gonna need a.
This the agenda deadline.
Just took one out.
Yeah, that's a problem too.
That's okay.
What's your line?
There you go.
Did it, Les?
Wow.
See, we're all growing.
Yes, I'm like, I got words on.
I'll forward it to everyone.
I'm gonna have to do a screenshot on my laptop.
Wow, that's our homework. We all have to go home with our hands.
F6 if you have a.
Okay, I got it. That's it.
Yeah.
Right, no, no, we'll do that. For 25th is the agenda deadline for November 1st. Yeah. So end of day October 25th, because the agenda's closed on the 26th, so. Okay, we got this, yeah. It's actually better than.
I'm sorry. Run that by me again.
So October 25th is the agenda deadline for the November 1st. Our next meeting is November 1. Okay, right, we have to post agenda 6 days prior.
Gotcha.
That's assumed.
That's a Zoom.
That'll be by Zoom, yeah. But any. Sorry, my fault. I wonder you're a same for next one. That sounds good.
Mary Alice, what's the typical range of articles of like? Is there a typical range that you can mention? We don't want it too long, stand up, or
Like you said,
More people.
successful.
Right, we're like summary.
No, I wanna go short.
It ranges from a full page program to, I think, CCM, which has got the largest staff.
Oh, it's pretty short.
So we've got 8
Yeah.
programs.
Okay, we should keep it
You know,
one
so
page if possible.
we try to keep it short because we legislate. Don't have time to read lengthy reports.
Any other thoughts on that? But thank you to the committee for taking, drafting this, and I think we're doing it on a really complicated time. Other questions or comments on any report? Unless still no members of the public. All right, well, thank you, folks. Okay, moving on to our next agenda item, it's a discussion of the EAC policies and procedures. So in your packet, folks will see that made some edits to the draft policies and procedures. Know that this is still not completely final. We're working through the rules committee on, transitioning things that were in our former procedural rules into this document as well. But we do need just a little bit more time with that. What we tried to do here is really capture kind of the main things. And then I also took a stab at drafting really quick explanations for descriptions of each of the components. So I do ask that everybody on the content, in particular, the committee chairs, take a look at those draft descriptions. And, for the next, prior to the next agenda, so for October 25th, if you can send me changes that you would like to see to the description of your. And this was a good suggestion from Jody to kind of, say what each committee does, right? So yeah,
Was that description part of the? that rules?
the job policies, yeah, so if you look on like the next page, for example. So I leave a little draft description for each committee. Yeah, so please feel free, again, these are just kind of real quick. This is what this committee does, right? We will kind of take a look at the next one. Okay, got it, if you don't like it, it's fine to get something out that people to consider. And, looking at this, so we've not kind of seen this packet, with the exception of the changes that are shown in twice now. I mean, are there other things that you folks want to see in these policies and procedures? Anything totally missing? Anything nobody disagrees with, anybody disagrees with?
I thought Mary and Ron's were very thorough. Well, it's very successors.
Yeah, thank you, Robin, for taking a look. So pointing, specifically, Robin kind of went through this on, I know the last meeting. For the INO summary, notice it made some changes, changing
Actually, I'm having a hard time getting anything up, so that's why I'm pressing this over here.
No problem. But really the only changes to the INO stuff was, I didn't post to recall, like Mary said, we actually approved the policies and procedures for the forums in a past meeting. But those were written pre-moves to OPSD, so we just have to take some. Wait to see that you're, to keep our OPSD and. States, ERP, and we have things, so should it's all more. Yeah, so no substantive changes really for the stuff that came out of INO. Yeah. And Ron, you did this about the image. So we have kind of those separated out, but again, for the general policy, people can take a look, and then on your report, you know, if there's anything else that you're supposed to add, right now we just have the deadline. The new deadlines in terms of actual procedures, time when she goes through the previous round of, you know, getting this submission built, this, do this and that.
On this, will we vote on it? Is it because it basically excludes it? It's just become a document or does it?
If it's, and Jody and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong, I think, you know, we would still vote on the policies and procedures for the council, but it's completely internal, we don't have to go through rules, they're not technically, we can just start internal policies. and procedures. So in terms of meeting implement them, once they are adopted by the council, I think fairly easy to do those things. But yeah, what we want to do is, you know, go through these drafts, get it to a point where we're all comfortable with it. And it's a formal forward as possible.
It's a little bit disturbing. You mentioned that these aren't subject to rulemaking. Why? Can you explain to me what things that we do would require rulemaking? You know, is it simply up to us and the policies and procedures? There are red lines.
So any related topic before you do, right, we would have to do, that's the actual process and agencies and applicants. Is that in the process? Truly, I will look to you. Where is it?
Yeah, usually the way we think about it is rules are for engaging with the public. So like on appeals process, you would definitely want to have something like that in rules. If they want to appeal one of your decisions, how do they go about doing that? They send their appeal to OPSD at this address, so many copies, and then there'd be a response or a decision. How many days do they have to ask for consideration, and that kind of thing. So it's kind of like how more towards engagement with the public, but rules they need to know about.
So that was a bright line, because a lot of things you sort of deal with. I mean, I had someone say that some of the things that we should undergo. And I was just wondering, you know, capacity to evaluate that person's statement.
Did they have any specifics? If they did, let me know.
For the exemptions.
Yeah.
So they
Exemption concurrence. And in fact, I think what they were getting at is that all the exemption lists made by the agencies should be adopted by rule by those agencies. And that would be a lot of work, a lot of extra work.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
please,
right.
please.
Exemptions are initiated by the parents and they're submitted to the council by some. But, you know, put something in means that it's kind of frozen in place. Because it's such a onerous process to amend and adopt rules. It takes years. And so, you know, when the statute doesn't require that, then I would not suggest that you consider creating a need for rules that doesn't exist. Now, if the legislature decides that that's something that should be put in rules, they put a shall, you know, in the law, shall adopt rules. And that's certainly the case with 343. you know, so OPSD will be posing amended rules for adoption to make the housekeeping changes that were created by Act 152 21. But I have worked for the rules for a long time, and they are the least flexible tool. They're less flexible than statutes. That's one of the reasons why the theory is that statutes are general and rules are specific. But in practice, because it's much easier to amend statutes than it is to amend rules, legislators and constituents often try to put the detail into the statute rather than to have it adopted as rules. So I do think that since your action is a concurrence, not an approval, that it should remain something that is under the council's role in making decisions rather than moving it into rules, which kind of takes it out from under your jurisdiction. It makes it has the impact of the effect of law.
Thank you.
Just a personal view.
No, I'm in agreement, but we're not, our decisions aren't impacting others' rights. In this case, for, as in we're submitting appeals, it's not process. Sort of challenging.
Well, they talked about challenges. Yeah. Of course. That was the approach that they take.
The exemption list.
That us approving.
Process.
And then I believe the agencies.
Process. The fact that we had that cookie at all.
Yeah, I don't think they objected to it, we just thought they should submit it.
Oh, they shut it, oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so,
Oh, interesting if they did
Shut it.
try to litigate it, see how it go out.
because we were going through the rule. So, yeah, there's only so many times in your life.
Yes, yes, I mean,
Did that come up?
I agree.
It came up post.
But
It was last year, so, and that person was informal.
it was,
They-
we did
That's
it.
further, but
They had better ones to do.
yeah, so. Yeah, and that particular thing, again, I don't know if that person quite understood that the council's concerns would not. You know, but again, we get.
That's why I was like, our rules, we want to clear. Working from that context of the gig. About what we have, what our power is. You know, so some people read it. and even the agencies look at it and say, you guys can shut us down. You can make it impossible for us to do exemptions. So, can't do that. You know, you have very, very limited power, basically. I think it is, our concurrence is a good housekeeping stamp of approval if you're over 50. And it's not it's not an approval.
It's a public service.
Yes.
And it's very valuable.
it's also a way of encouraging the department to look at itself and its practices are, and to have that conversation between them and the member of the council or the community or whatever is always fun. Always.
Every agency has thanked me, and I believe sincerely.
Yes.
For going, how can they get through?
Yeah.
Through for the
They're glad they
extra
did it.
stuff. And they're glad they brought their staff together. to think about this. Everybody has all these lingering questions of the staff. This makes it clear to happen. To have some clarity. About other people in agencies. Who are very environmental. Mission agencies. deputies. And they really want to do things correctly. They want the good faith and credit of the public, actually. Pretty cool. Look at clarity and simpleness.
You know, this is for against that. But I will say, and it's meant as a compliment, but what does give me a little bit of pause, given the technicalities of the exemption committee, really the exemption chair, is that we have been so lucky to have you in that chair position, and then prior to you, Chuck. And, you know, barring you, it's a bit of a mind blower that a volunteer, community-based group carries that knowledge and responsibility. So I recognize that this is civics, this is how government and these works, but nonetheless, I have been really impressed, and at the same time, I think the other side is a little concerned because what happens when this council doesn't have that knowledge?
You know, it's so good. I'm so glad I just said this. I was about to say the same thing, but I was going to add these that once Ron turns off, nobody else either has the same expertise or interest. I wonder if that then falls to you, Mary Alice. I know, but I mean, I think it's something we need to think about and talk about because we.
That's why we got Michelle.
That is what we. I was gonna say.
Ron, he puts himself.
That's right.
You were wondering.
No, I was not wondering.
It is, it's a really significant point. And both of them, both Brian and his predecessor have acted as staff. Paid, unpaid staff. And without that contribution, I don't know that it would fall as on you, but. or else I go. So it is something to think about.
Very honest, and I think that elections coming up, and so. I mean, in our time with you might be limited as well. But in terms of, yeah, is there somebody on OPSD staff that maybe start sitting in on exception? So that there is some institutional knowledge.
Well,
you know.
let me just say something. We do have that. He's sitting right there.
Right,
again,
right.
In the corner. This is an amazing repository of anything to do with rules, the law, and history. History. And people will frequently call me up, and if they don't like the answer, they'll call Les, right? Les? And vice versa, I think. And so that's someone that we have, and the public has been able to rely on for decades now. And I would be more worried about losing Les eventually. The young guys, so we got some time, but then we really this personal institution. I hope that I can do something, and it's not just exemption. You know, there's other aspects. Legislative process, only in the area. And I'm glad that maybe council, they're the experts. And we gotta keep cultivating, that's why we need a council. People, and keep getting young, discipling young people.
You're on the executive.
She wasn't offered a choice.
I didn't ask it as a question.
I'm really hoping she would be interested in this.
But it comes back to what we're saying about the public's by and large being receiving this seal of approval and the process by which they get to it. It's been very helpful to these agencies. Thank you. So once you turn off, it is. And it's good to know that you'll be following through with that. But it's a lot of work. You're back and forth on you know, the short time I was on the exemptions.
So maybe, you know, and I think this is a really good discussion and a good points we need to provide with policies. these are also things that weren't in our rules, the exemption process wasn't there. So, you know, in terms of kind of memorializing that in writing for this council, the process for the next 6 times. I think it's a great idea, and maybe one thing to add to, you know, this is for exemptions is, you know, to the extent there isn't a, you know, EAS practitioner, you know, adding steps to it and so. I mean, really, there should probably be some council always has experience with but we just actually putting that in there, and that can even, you know, be a basis for that. The governor does put some less experience that, you know, is very. I would agree.
How many times it's been critical to the discussions we have.
Yeah, we need people to write these things. We build a box.
Yes.
So they're really good.
I'll hold it to them. Get me what now? Okay. Get us salty.
Right?
Salty.
So that's Hannah Springer did that, you know?
I know it.
She was amazing. That Kabal Kai, that was, you know, a real Kabal Kai down there.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not to mention Buffett Blue. Sorry. Had to be said.
Okay, what were we on this?
No, I'm just trying to figure out how did we get to this line.
Never
Like there was a share there too, oh, there was your number.
Ron's fault. Oh, no.
Okay, well, we read the draft policy again. This is council, I expect there will be additional edits in the version of the November. Get final things that we took a lot of our existing procedural rules into this document. So thanks for bearing with me while we work on that. And again, committee chairs and all really take a look at the descriptions of the different committees, so we can make sure that those are on point. If there's anything else you guys want to add, you know, please let me know. Again, this is our document, we can do it. How we want to get adopted. Okay. You know, all the basics of that. We'll send it out. I lost lots of $10 for it. Yes, so folks can. That would be the.
You can put you back on.
That's it, okay. Sorry, it's, yeah, I call it. It's not fine.
You understand.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I think that's the last time, but maybe we could talk fast again. Is there anything we're missing? Are there any new type of things that's through?
Some groups are working about the planning commission. When new people come on, they have an orientation for that. To explain to them the rules and procedures and planning requirements. And this document strikes me as a really wonderful tool for the big people on. It's kind of like when you join the board of a nonprofit, you get a board directors, and some really good nonprofits have a preparation document. So this might be the format, but perhaps we might think, oh, that.
Yeah.
But in terms of what we're missing, maybe we would add the concept of orientation or a few board members. It's something.
Well, and what I really like about that too, is that there's gonna be a bunch of us going off like a year and a half. Right? I mean, all of us who came on, so this might be a great opportunity for us to go. Transitions on. Like,
That organization. It could be.
Sets of playbook.
Yeah.
Football sets the playbook.
Could we, Judy, for example, could we set aside an hour before the regular meeting to do an orientation for just new members? When you get them, that's legit, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's something I would add, even though we don't have it, we should try.
Can we also ask strategic planning to set a
Why don't we set a transition session for the next year? Knowing that a bunch of us will be sick as well.
Well, you're off in June, right?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
No. it's Too long. Used to.
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, when a lot of us did come on and thereabouts, Scott actually did do an orientation session. Rules. It was good. The procedures, yes. So we should probably do something like that for this group again, while we're still on it as a orientation session, but you can't do it. I know that. No, okay, that's. I'll just do it.
Just
Yeah, Ron.
preempting the invitation.
No, it would be a probably a regular meeting, because, a lot of times we don't. It'd be a session with all of us, maybe at our next in-person.
Next year, me, I don't.
I think for now it's right, but your next,
I think I might have be able to do 2 more years.
yeah, oh, okay.
I don't want so long.
Yeah.
So
So
we're
it's
discounting.
8 years max, right?
Yeah.
So I think technically some of us could be reappointed for 2 more.
Big consecutive years.
My last two, right?
Yeah, okay.
I think we need a list, a real.
No,
list.
I do have, let me go see.
So, I was appointed, I
Yeah.
guess I participated in 2015, but I didn't get
Oh, so you
appointed
came
till
on early.
2016. So is that temporary period not doesn't count?
Doesn't count.
Probably
There's
a bunch
you're
of
in
other
interim,
laws in
you're in
there.
interim, yeah.
That's-
You're probably coming up too.
So actually, I mean, Ron can take a break for a year and come back.
That's what
6 months.
everybody's gonna do.
Getting idea.
If Ron doesn't.
Well, if there's unfinished work, I can imagine those with motivation and interest, saying, okay, I'm gonna come in and clean this up one last time, and you guys follow.
Yes, do you have is there a list with our terms?
We have a list of all your terms, so you know who's going to who's leaving.
Who's gonna share that?
I gotta delete, we have to delete a lot of the personal information.
Yeah. Maybe next week and I will talk and I'll.
Yeah,
It's somewhere on the website. I looked it up. I
No,
know where
but the
my-
website
Or
doesn't
something,
say that
it
you're
was
reappointed.
something.
It just says when, it says when your current term.
It's
Current
term.
Yeah.
Some people end up with 2 or 3 terms to
Yeah.
make up the 8 years consecutive maximum service. So you might be appointed and confirmed to fill a 2-year remainder of somebody else's term. Then you might be appointed for another 4-year term, and then you could be appointed for a third 2-year term. So it's not just 2 terms.
Right.
It could be any combination that makes up 8 consecutive years.
Right,
And then-
so Ron is eligible for another.
Timeline. Yeah, I think my first term was 3 years.
Yeah, because I think my first was 2 years. We're staggered.
I was no idea.
Yeah, because some of us were appointed to other people's terms.
I was on, you and I were appointed to the one that ended from went from April to June of 2022.
Fascinating.
And then from
Yeah.
for 4 years after that.
what was that?
Give all the answers.
Yeah,
Who's-
I'll do that, so.
Yeah, yeah, we have the access because we have to keep track of who's gonna term out, yeah.
So does the term begin with the governor's appointment?
It varies. If
Of course.
If the governor makes an appointment after the last day of the regular session of the legislature, it's an interim appointment. It's effective immediately upon the date of appointment. It's valid until or unless, then the governor has to send that person's name down to the legislature at the next session of the legislature to confirm the interim appointment. And then that person's term doesn't reset to the date of confirmation. It stays from the interim appointment. If the governor makes a nomination after the first day of a regular session, say it's gonna be January 18th this year, 23. So they make it, say the governor makes a nomination on January 19th. That person is not seated immediately. They are seated on the date of their confirmation. So say that's April 15th, in the session, because they generally do the confirmations after sober and cross back, and that's when they have more time. So you can either be an interim or nominated and then be confirmed as a regular, or interim and then confirmed. It's
Wow, and that one really.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry to hear that.
Let's just look at photos.
Hopefully you guys can sort it out and tell us.
That's
when
maybe
it
we
starts.
can just do like a spreadsheet. I'll work on that. I just need basically, I don't need the first one. Just terms, yeah, all that stuff. Okay, so we can discuss that further at the next. And then start brainstorming. I know we still, for years have been trying to get our cultural practitioner, right?
Yes,
Successfully, but we gotta top whoever we can. Yes. So.
Okay, well, we get her. Awesome.
it'd be great.
There'll be one who, there'll be a lot of brown.
Oh, well, then you can make her. That's how we really.
Okay, so we're still on agenda item 5, discussion of policies and procedures. Anything else we're missing? We just talked about adding orientation for new board members and also transition session. I think I'll think of when's the best time to enter. That's this also. So we can go project through and I guess talk about our experiences with whatnot, kind of transition that knowledge down to the next folks that are gonna be taking over. Well, no, it's not the appropriate. Or it's not already. No, I just think I just gonna ask Robin if she's planning to think about. Right, well, because I are really to the public, right, and this transition stuff, I think it's really internal. I think it is.
Well, I'm just thinking about the best orientation was rewriting rules.
Yeah.
I mean, what I learned in that process was incredible. I had no idea we did that.
Well, then the contested dates.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. And we did that whole contested case on Zoom.
Then
That was absolutely incredible.
There are a lot of people.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd love to see you, but I'm just experiencing how much more of the community is availed itself.
Yeah.
But Zoom can't fly, doesn't know how, we got it out. We've all figured out Zoom. It took them a while, but we got it now. And how much more, how much more information, how much more participation that I'm aware of. It's just been wonderful.
That's a good question, sorry, and I know,
Oh.
to the large folks, but I really hate testifying in person. Your whole day is shot. So you folks know, we're gonna then.
I got. Brand is.
That's great.
It is, times and animation needs to. That's kind of, I don't want it to define as, I know. I don't have an issue, but that can be an.
Well, and then that of course.
You're smarter than all of them.
Keep trying to tell myself. Yeah, I would love to support, if there's an opportunity that you're aware of, that we can support hybrid, the continuation of hybrid, please let us know, because some of us would like to.
Talk to your elected officials.
Yes.
Yeah.
My elected officials.
The neighbor Iowa
Legislators are the ones that
Yeah.
advocate for that. So those of you from the neighbor islands, You know, your legislators, yeah, there's, you know, ask them. To have that as an option.
Okay, well, I think she knows, but. As in,
We had it on.
Mr. Anything.
What is it? Yeah, we gotta come up for YouTube. You know, just a gigantic check.
You weren't able to detect it
They
immediately,
didn't know it took. 3 minutes in.
and then what did you do?
Pretty well.
And then what did you do?
They let the guy keep talking.
Yeah,
We weren't sure.
That was the legislative hearing?
That was, no, it was for county.
yeah.
Oh, well, the difference between, I mean, the state, to testify via Zoom at the state legislature is, you know,
It's
pretty
not nothing.
onerous.
Yeah, it's not like,
Well, it's not
Oh, double
illegal,
check system,
so if
no.
you spoof, then you're not gonna arrest,
no.
you know.
You can look
They may
before
not
you
let
look.
you testify from that same computer again. But I just wondered if any.
There's no double check on the county's testimony site like there is on the state's. And I've done both.
Mhm.
And to testify at the state legislature is way harder. I mean, because you have to make an appointment. And then they tell you what your slot's gonna be, and then they call you on that, you know. They call you up, because you're kept in the waiting room.
Sure, but I mean, you can still spoof. It's not illegal.
No, I'm not, anyway, it doesn't matter.
Answer your question, no, I'm not
Yeah.
I think that's the one that was going viral like
Yeah,
months back.
like,
Like Yo Valley up.
no. It's not, he's a professional. Spoofer, yeah,
Now.
got lots of views. on you.
Yeah. It's called now.
Huh?
Yeah, they just.
Well, it takes you a while to figure out.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not sure it is. Sure, because look how many,
He
look
doesn't
how many
go on
characters we
like
have,
a file.
right?
Sounds like he's talking about something.
Totally.
How much money do you think you make?
There's no sharing our Okay, we're the ball game chair. So you know. Okay. Same focus. Any details for missing policy? Political slides. Yeah. Anything else is policies? Okay, well, we'll have another shot at this at the next meeting, so I do ask that we talk about it in the shower or whatever.
We're gonna distribute another Word doc.
I will distribute the Word doc, I will take off the draft stamp and just have it in the header instead, so folks can start kind of editing again. Any edits are due. Appreciate it earlier, so I'm working on some work with that. But October 25th is the deadline. Okay. Anything else? Agenda item? So going on to agenda item number 6, just an announcement on, last time we mentioned the Hawaii State Ethics Commission, it's now mandatory. Commission. The next available training is on October 5th, you guys can register via the link that's on the flyer that is attached, or that's linked in our agenda.
We should try to do it together, just for fun.
So there are actually several of us that did the September one.
We did it.
Yeah. And it, yeah,
So
it's a real quick, so Robert Harris does it, it's a PowerPoint and they have interactive
Yeah,
polls
yeah.
within it. It's kind of like every 5 minutes, there's, you answer a question, so
Yeah.
it was quick, I think they asked you to put aside an hour and a half for it, only took, an hour. It's
I've
just,
seen what you've already done it.
you have like, oh, yeah.
You know this and I don't.
Yeah, well, this was like a requirement that they sent out not that long ago. So if you didn't do the September one, you're probably not correct. So.
I'd say it's current sound good.
Check.
It's.
Wait, what website?
She doesn't do it either.
You're required to have a
Yeah.
certificate of completion.
Yeah.
Registered with Les.
Yeah.
Les gets it, I got it directly.
Yeah.
It's 1 hour, it's worth your time,
Yeah.
it's well done, Robert Harris is very good at it.
Yeah.
He's knowledgeable about it, and he gives real life examples. Even if you think you've done it, if you haven't had your certificate of completion, you haven't done it. So it looks like tomorrow is your own choice. Unless you. can-
Tomorrow?
October.
Yeah.
October, well, it is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, if we're supposed to do it, what is it, once a year?
By January, no, I guess it's by January and then, yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought there's a self-directed option.
There might
That's
be.
what I thought.
Oh,
I don't think you have to do it once.
Okay, there might be.
That was my
We'll
understanding.
check out the links that we sent to you folks. Tomorrow's the next one, it's an hour to get to them. Fine. Okay.
Oh, Ron, is this gonna conflict with your? Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Are you gonna- Yeah, it's at 11 o'clock.
So I don't know, I haven't gone to the link yet,
Okay,
I'm just asking.
oh, that's what I'm, well, we can always switch the meeting for later time.
Or maybe not, Ron's got a day, I've got a day.
Wait, is there a self-directed option? Sorry.
Yeah, I thought there was.
Process it? Yeah, because if you don't need to do it.
But we have till January,
Yeah, so January.
once a month.
Well, they have some that are just for legislators and then some that are state.
So you have to click on that link to find out. Somebody click that's that's online, I'm not online.
Agenda. There was a link to that.
Yeah, there's a link in the agenda list.
It's the second one, it's under the subject.
It's the
The
second.
first one is a copy of the bill.
Oh,
Yeah, so the agenda for the full EAC board.
I see a training flyer.
Aren't we purely advisory?
But we're still considered state employees, we're the commission.
It's not gonna work, man.
There's a whole section on advisory.
Yeah, I looked at that one too, I was very confused.
I talked to my girlfriend at ethics and she said that she had a long conversation, I'm assuming Alana about it and folks are currently. No, you didn't talk to Noonan ethics, she talked to somebody. Anyway, currently, we are not considered purely advisory, but I will have another conversation with her about that.
Okay.
Right now, they're swamped with this training.
Yeah, sure, it should be straightened out
Right,
because.
that's to the top of that flyer.
She said she thought they have a long. But I don't know if it was.
The top right.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go, that.
Well, that would be news to us.
Well, ethics went through every committee and board and
Determine who was and who wasn't.
yeah, but one of our other clients did get moved, so. I can try.
So we should, so Jody, at this point, we should be taking the training for advisory.
Yes.
Yeah,
10 to 11.
it'll probably be done by 11.
10
It
to
didn't
11,
run the whole hour and a half.
Oh, it's not how.
So you guys might be able to do it.
So why are we pushing for tomorrow?
I guess
Because
It's the last one of the year.
No, because that's the one they're offering.
Here's the last
Yeah.
oh, ouch.
But isn't there a self-directed?
one. Yeah.
I thought I did self-directed because there is.
Oh,
I guess
that's
you
the-
can do self-directed.
Yeah. Self-directed meaning you can do it when.
Yeah,
when
I
you
just
want
don't
to.
see them.
It says right there, at the top, it's self-directed training.
At the very top. Oh, there I am.
Yeah.
Got it.
Then you go down to the second bullet point, which is state board.
That's us.
Yeah.
Got
So,
it.
you know, it talks about conflicts, when you can't rule on something, look at the different scenarios for, you know, your spouse or your daughter has an interest in, you know, matter that's. You know,
Yes.
like it's those things of hypotheticals to test whether or not you understand.
And it all made sense to you, right?
Thank you very much. I thought it was gonna be. Well done, and I love the format where he sets up situations. You have to vote. That he tells you what's.
I do right or wrong.
Legislature actually passed them.
Well, it doesn't say who all passed, but it does say, you know how many people are on it, like 95%.
I think that examples are real good because it wasn't clear cut,
Yeah.
generally a lot of discussion.
Right, right.
But it's worth saying the lies one.
So I get Pennsylvania State.
Okay. But they only do.
That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So I mean, but yeah, if you guys are gonna just, it don't have to come out, it would, our half. To figure out the register, doing it early. Yeah.
Let's write it self-directed. Did you get, did you get a thing for me? I mean,
I don't know how,
She's got it.
I don't know how.
I did this already, because it's really boring. Okay, well, this one isn't, according to Robin, this one's really cool. Robin lives on the nine.
I would say it wasn't really cool, but it wasn't terrible. And it's good that there's.
Yeah, I was surprised how fast it was. That's why I think I did it.
Well, there might also be one for the county, so county ethics is different than this state ethics.
County ethics is very.
Yes, the self-directed option. State.
There was one for board and commission.
Okay, for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ethics for board and
And
commission.
just so you guys know, state, in the definition, way is wording. But yeah, just look at that one, it has.
If I just Google board.
If you can put state ethics. Yeah, we
I'm
got
signed up for
Pennsylvania.
tomorrow, so.
You gotta say Hawaii state.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
It's an
it
hour.
says you'll get a completion certificate by email.
When you do this directed
Yeah,
option.
yeah.
Thanks, Les.
Okay.
I don't think that's right.
So we'll get both of your certificates.
There's a problem already.
Okay,
Hence the training.
any questions on?
Or can I pay someone? No. Just kidding. I'm not even offering that.
Okay, the only other thing is our next meeting set for Tuesday, November 1st. Committee chairs for those who will be holding these.
I'm gonna try to have exemptions. Probably gonna have to send it.
Okay, you're traveling.
Yeah, and I'd like to have a slot for the community interaction.
Will be the final reports.
Uh,
So because so technically under pre rules and we've done this wrong. You only give one report.
Oh, okay.
So if it's not your final report, it's there.
Come on.
No.
Next meeting. Both of them will be.
AR. Yep, AR got,
I know.
Yes, okay, everybody's.
And could I please have a quorum for INO?
So, okay,
Sorry, ditto and AR.
this is like,
Lunchtime.
I've given you guys cards, everybody should know what committees they are on, so let's talk about that right now.
Updated card.
Okay, on your report is Seth, Ryan, Patsy,
And Michelle.
and Michelle, okay. I know, Mary, Mahina, John, exemption, Ron, Mahala, Mike, and rules, oh, probably. Maybe. Mahina, Mahala, Amy, Ron, Don, and Rick. Ledge, Robin, Martina, Mary, and Mike. Strategic planning, Robin, Ron, Mahala, Lloyd, Gordon, and Rachel. Did I miss anybody?
Oh, just hearing our name roll.
Like you guys remember, I reset out the updated cards, right? Everything has that.
Mine is right here.
They did it by there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we posted it as,
Yes, that's the new one. Okay.
it's posted on our
It
website.
is posted there.
Yeah,
It was updated on November 5th, 2019.
Okay.
It's funny what we don't remember.
yes.
No.
You got a new one.
I did in 2020.
yeah, June 7th, June
June 7th,
7th.
2020.
I got a little card like this.
No, because we.
Yeah, yeah, for the June 7th.
I will do
I will write it down. Look for the June 7th.
2022, that's
I will
all.
do-
Most people
On the website.
But actually, I need to update it for the. Shells.
Okay,
It's no sense I go look for it.
No, but you were.
Because we can't make this. I think you should get credit for carrying the damn thing around, you know.
Yeah, I will send them further updated.
Who else says there's right
Okay, that's
there?
what I need to add to our policies and procedures. Send updated committee cards every.
Thank you. I never saw one.
Guys, we're environmental.
You know, then Mary and I both.
Want us to read the shower, you should consider laminating.
Okay.
And some of you doubted the value of an in-person meeting. Really, when's the last time we left like this on Zoom?
Okay, well, are there any other announcements? We're running an hour ahead of schedule. Guys.
I don't wanna go.
Nothing, nobody in the public,
Oh, public, okay, I mean, we can start the room till 3:30.
yeah.
Hang out and talk start if you guys want after we adjourn, but any other business?
So now I'll talk about anything.
That's council business, of course. Okay, all right, so it is.
Looks like our other person here.
Did you adjourn?
8 PM, I'm gonna adjourn the meeting, everybody. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Cody.